after a session with Mr. Bose Krishnamachari, it's only fitting that we have another eminent figure who has revitalized the cultural landscape of Kerala. Miss Bina Paul is a lady who wears many distinguished hats. She is a Kerala State Film Award-winning editor and a two-time National Award-winning editor. For many cinephiles like me, she was the Wonder Woman behind the International Film Festival of Kerala. During her tenure as the artistic director for nearly 2 decades, Ms. Paul has played an instrumental role in shaping the cinematic sensibilities in the state. She will not take this praise, I am pretty sure, but it's the truth that ma'am has played a huge role in shaping what Kerala watches, why it makes the kind of cinema that it does. More recently, Bina Paul is known as one of the founding members of the Women in Cinema Collective. The trigger for its formation was a heinous incident in 2017 in which an established actress was abducted and sexually assaulted. Since then, it's been 5 years now, WCC has been one of the vocal advocates for equal spaces and equal opportunities for women in cinema. Please extend a warm welcome to Bina Paul. So ma'am, I think I'm from Mumbai and I make it a point to watch Malayalam cinema because that's where I'm getting intellectually enriched as a viewer. And what I've noticed is that in the last few years, I am seeing a lot of narratives where you see women up front and center. They have agency, they are asserting themselves, they have strong identities. Just a few examples, Great Indian Kitchen, Sarah, Helen, recently, Jaya 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 Hey. Is there a movement right now that we are seeing in this industry?
It's really interesting because if you look at the new wave of Indian cinema, which happened in the 70s with Saeed and all these people making films, women were the center of all those films, practically all those films if you look back. I think pretty much that is happening with Kerala as well. Now, how this translates into actual workspace, actual change, societal change, one hasn't really been able to gauge. But certainly, a lot of the younger filmmakers are looking at women, I would say, very interestingly. There are more nuanced characters, there are very strong actors emerging. Yeah, so it's an interesting time. But whether it points to something else, I'm not so sure yet.
Interesting, because, we talk about Kerala as being one of the most literate states. It has one of the best male and sex ratios, but you have spoken about how misogyny is rampant in Malayalam cinema. As we see these narratives, are you seeing a change since the collective has come about? Because I know the collective has spoken a lot about it and they have faced a lot of heat for their opinions, where they are pointing out that this is wrong. You cannot be glorifying objectification of women or degrading women. Is that change happening now?
I'd just like to talk a little about the collective. The collective, as you mentioned, came about basically because of that terrible incident that did happen, and finally women started talking to each other. It was a WhatsApp group. You're suddenly saying, look, this has happened, there's nobody to support her, etc., and we started talking. Interestingly, even before the Me Too movement, WCC happened before the Me Too movement. With WCC, what we were looking at basically is workplace environment. What is it like to be a woman in cinema? One is content. You spoke about content, which is very important, and how it's pretty easy for a guy, a successful filmmaker, to say, I'll make a film about a woman. It's not a very difficult choice to make. it's about what is happening in the film industry that we were questioning. What is the situation? Are there enough women in a state which has, women who are so literate, who are part of a working force? Why is it that cinema continued to be a boys' club? Why is it that there were no women feeling empowered enough to get into it? So these were our concerns more than, of course, content, and we all know the great controversies that came up when we did talk about content. But certainly our concern is about Malayalam cinema as a workplace, and not only sexual harassment, which is rampant, unfortunately, but also about, facilities, security, so many things that one would take so much for granted in other workspaces.
So, since we are on WCC, the Women in Cinema Collective, there are many distinguished members in it. Actors, filmmakers, 18 of you had initially got together. The membership has only grown. Are you seeing, you spoke about it's a boys' club. Are you seeing now more women? A film like Sara spoke about it a little bit, about a woman wanting to be a director. But are you seeing now more women in set? Is there ground reality changing in terms of hiring, in terms of women wanting to join that space?
Not really. But what WCC did was push gender into the forefront of this conversation. Now, no change is going to take place over 2 years, 3 years, being part of the film festival, and as Bose just said about the Biennale, this kind of attitude change takes a lot of time. But what we do see is there is conversation about gender today. Nobody will take it for granted. And I think that is the biggest success of WCC, that where there was no conversation about women, where were these women, what were these women going through, why are there no women? I think WCC brought up that conversation very strongly, very forcefully, and ruffled many, many feathers. I have to tell you, in the industry, all of us have had to, professionally go through a lot of flack because of that. Because, it was a boys' club.
I'm also curious, was there repercussions in terms of losing work as well, you think?
Oh, certainly. If you were from WCC, a lot. This happened. It's interesting because it happened in the beginning. They said, oh, WCC, don't touch them. And then it became, oh, WCC, let's take them because you can appropriate them. So it worked both ways. But there was a lot of flack that we faced. But we have been quite persistent. It is a long, tough journey, I have to tell you all. We had to litigate, as you know.
Yeah. In fact, that's one of the points. Last year, WCC had a critical victory in the courts. The Kerala High Court ordered the Malayalam film sets to have sexual harassment panel under the POSH Act. I know you said nothing happens quickly, but is that a conversation that's sort of happening on sets now, that, we need to be accountable, we need to make sure that they are in safe spaces?
Oh, certainly. Even 2 days ago, there's been a workshop. We've had a workshop on, what the POSH Act is with producers, because the court has now mandated that every film set has to have an IC. And this was a kind of long battle that we fought. But more than, I am really finding more than anything, it is attitude. The mindset has to change. The mindset that believes that women can be a cinematographer, she can work late hours, she can pick up a camera, that she has the ability to conduct herself as a professional. That mindset has to. That is where we are saying again and again, what we are trying to do is make Malayalam cinema not a corporate space, but a professional space where you are respected or disrespected, not because of your gender, but because of what you bring to the project. That is what I think our main sort of effort has been. Unfortunately, like we're seeing everywhere, in fact, we're seeing right now, powerful men still hold, still hold a lot of clout and get away with a lot. We're seeing it happening exactly now. And we do see that happening in cinema a lot. A lot of powerful men still hold a lot of the, let's say, a lot of the power in their hands. And it's a difficult fight, but we have been trying to do it.
The Kerala, when you were at the IFFKK, we saw some incredible films come and go. And, in the last few years, especially post the pandemic, a lot of people have started watching Malayalam cinema because of the OTT platforms. Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, we all are remaking Malayalam films. Great Indian Kitchen has had remakes, Helen has had a remake, Ayappanam Koshiyam is now going to have a remake. Rana, who comes after this, has already done a Telugu remake of the film. And yet, ma'am, the story from Kerala that seems to have resonated is one that's not made by the Malayalam filmmakers, doesn't star any Malayalam actors, at least in the core cast. Are you surprised by the reaction that the Kerala story has gotten? It's not a film from Malayalam cinema, but yet it's a film that people want to watch from Kerala.
First of all, I'm really upset that that film got so much mileage, frankly quite unnecessarily. It probably would have died a natural death if nobody had talked about it. But this is a kind of atmosphere of impunity today. There is an atmosphere of impunity. You are protected. You are, you can say completely factually wrong stuff. I mean, even the producers had to change their trailer because of the misrepresentation of facts. Nobody talks about that. So in this atmosphere of impunity, I think this film would do well. As somebody has just said, there are so many other good films. Like you said, 2018 has been such an important film that has come, and such an important Malayalam film. But when you have tax-free and you are encouraged to go and see a particular film, you would choose to. I'm really very, very saddened. In fact, very saddened because there was no reason for that film to have sort of hit the headlines like this. It's a film that is factually wrong. I have to say I haven't seen it, but one has heard that it is factually wrong. It doesn't have any cinematic value, but perhaps it's a narrative that needs, that sort of feeds on certain people's wish for what this country is. I don't know.
Yeah, and interestingly, it's not done well in Kerala. It's done well pretty much
everywhere. It would not do
everywhere.
well. I'm so proud of the Kerala audience to say that, no, of course the film will not do well. 2018 has broken all records, which is a film which is the exact opposite narrative of community building.
Yeah. And that's Kerala. That's Kerala for you, truly. You studied at FTI at a time when I think you mentioned you were one of the only 2 women on campuses, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am? Yeah? And then there have been times where you have been in editing studios where there's been no toilets for women. Obviously, a lot has changed. But what do you think needs to be accomplished to get more women behind, you see them on camera, but when it comes to technicians, head of departments, getting them into positions, it's a huge industry. Is that something representative in Malayalam cinema? Because in Bollywood, in Hindi cinema, you do see it.
You see, what I would like to this is why I use the word corporatization. In Hindi cinema, you're seeing a lot of faces, a lot of diversity on sets, which is very important. I totally endorse that you go on to set, there is many girls, as many. But what is not changing, unfortunately, is positions of decision making where women are. There are still not enough cinematographers in Bombay or in the rest of India or in Kerala, certainly. There aren't enough policymakers, there aren't enough. You see, where women get into positions of decision making, that is where it is all right to say, okay, there is a mass of women who are involved, but the change that we would like to see, and that is what WCC is, I think, our main focus is to say that, look, training, professionalism, getting into positions of decision making in filmmaking, where therefore you can tell the stories the way you want. That is the important thing, that to be a woman, to have a woman cinematographer, you see, nobody understands that when there is a woman cinematographer, there is a change in the set which is different. It's not about just diversity, it's about viewpoint, it's an artistic contribution that women make that is very important in the telling of stories. Right? So I really believe we don't see that change yet, but we are certainly striving to say that women have to get into positions of decision making in the storytelling, basically.
So I'm curious, since you spoke about decision making, when you started out as an editor, I think you and Renu Saluja ji were perhaps one of the few female editors at that point. Was it easy to get them in? Because editing obviously involves deciding what the final product is. Was it easy to get men to listen to you?
No, certainly not. I was very young. I was very lucky. I sort of worked with some of the greatest Malayalam filmmakers, and I think in no sense was I a threat at all to them. So maybe that was the reason. No, but it wasn't easy, because now when I look back on my career, I know that I was probably excluded from a lot of stuff because of the fact that I was a woman, you know. When we talk about a boys' club, the understanding of how informal spaces are also important. To sit together in the evening, to chat about the film. You see, the moment you exclude women from all that, there's so much missing in this relationship of filmmaking. So I come and I edit, and then in the evening the assistant director, the director, the cinematographer, they sit together, they have a drink, they talk about the film, they make great decisions. I'm excluded from all that. That is the problem. That is why it's not about drinking, it's about understanding that there is need to interact at an equal level, which will only then make the difference.
I have to bring you back to your tenure as the artistic director of IFFK. Recently, it was announced that you would be the artistic director of the Dharmashala Film Festival. So from Trivandrum, you go straight to the hills. It's a beautiful festival. If you do get a chance to attend, please do attend. Is that something that you love doing, ma'am? Putting a film festival together for us cinephiles to feast on?
You know, I really grew into it because I love watching films, and I just felt that in Kerala there were so many people who loved films but were just not getting an opportunity to see the kind of films other than the usual Hollywood or Bollywood or Telugu and Tamil films. So that's why I sort of put my heart and soul into the Kerala Film Festival to make sure that it reached people. It was not, it was not imbued with the spirit of commercialism, but rather a sense of the artistic endeavor of filmmaking. Well, I hope that Dharamshala is a beautiful festival. It's more like a boutique festival. I've done Kerala for so long. I really wanted a sense of something small that we could grow, that we could create an audience. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Same here, same here. We are also, because Bina Paul ma'am has seen everything, I'm going to end it by her telling us 3 Malayalam films that we should definitely watch. You have to give us recommendations so that we can put it on our Netflix,
I can't give you,
Amazon.
no. I think that's a bit unfair. I can't give you 3.
Okay, what about 3 of your works that we can see? That you are really particular. It can be.
I would of course say Amaryan, which is the kind of cult film that I would even today say watch. It's a very, very interesting film. I like the film Munna Reep, which my husband did, which was not, but I liked very much this idea of, pushing somebody against a wall and thinking that you can create something from that position. And I like maybe Megha Malhar. I like that film also. I thought it sort of the interesting dilemma of the woman in that was.
Thank you so much, Bina Paul ji, for such an insightful talk. And we look forward to the work that you do with the WCC next, and more importantly, even as an editor. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please a warm welcome to Bina Paul.